It's often worth just focusing on the very next thing that's stopping you from getting where you want to go, right? So don't just look at like 100 things you have to do. Just focus on the next step or the next obstacle. And what you find is things become a lot more solvable and figure outable because now you're focusing on the constraint and one single problem at a time rather than looking at the entire mountain you have to climb and feeling this sense of it being a daunting task, because it is a daunting task unless you break it down into achievable steps and just focus on one at a time. So, for example, instead of looking at all of the things you have to do to gain muscle, whether it's diet, exercise, years of working out, whatever it might be, just go like, all right, what is the next meal I'm going to cook that'll be high in protein, that can last me a day or two, and what is the next session at the gym going to look like? And if you manage those two things, you're good, right? I think you just have to do that again and repeat that like 100 times, and you're good to go. You'll gain muscle. This works for basically everything, but I think human beings have a natural sort of evolutionary bent towards anxiety, which is just a form of planning, right? Like we plan ahead and we foresee potential problems. So it takes some conscious effort to really put those aside and say, all right, I'm not going to worry about anything beyond this very next step. And then after this next step, I can think about the one after that. So in terms of business, for now, our next step is to figure out how are we going to make sales, right? So we figured out the manufacturing, we figured out the platform. Now we just have to look at how are we going to sell our first 5 bottles or first 1 bottle. And there are a couple of options, right? We could do content, we could do ads, but we just have to pick one and stick with it for a good enough period of time. Like I like what Alex Raposi says. How long would you have to do something, or how many times would you have to do something for it to be unreasonable for you to get no results from it? So if, for example, we made 100 pieces of content, it might be unreasonable that we don't get one conversion from all of that, or maybe it's 1,000. I don't know. But the idea is then do enough of that, and then decide if you want to continue doing it or swap to something else. But that way, we just have one focus at a time, and we're bound to make progress eventually.